some people look at success as, getting money or
Right.
things like that. But I think true success and where you really find like fulfillment in who you are is when you live out the purpose that God has given you. Now, if you don't know your purpose, I would say the best way you can discover your purpose is to spend time with God. Whether it's listening to music, music is a great source. If you're finding, music that's full of the truth. So if you want to be successful, meaning living out the purpose that God has given you and completing your purpose, then you have to connect with God in a real way, and the world is yours from there. You can do it all.
I know they probably like this is so cliche. Christians that they talking about God, he's stuck on replay.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Andrew Ramon Show. I'm so happy that you're tuned in. Today, we got another episode of our success stories. Remember, this is a moment when I get to interview someone who's seeing success in the process and in the work that they're doing, as well as making a difference. And today, I have the privilege of talking with Keon. Now, Keon is an independent hip hop artist as well as digital creator. And it's been an honor getting to know him a little bit before this podcast as well. And it's an honor to get to talk to him now. So without further ado, Keon, welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
You bet, man. And hey, I'd love for you to kind of take your time and just introduce yourself and who you are, what you do. And we'd love to get to know you.
Okay. Well, yeah, my name's Keon. It's a part of my artist name, the One Keon. And I love God. I love to make music. I really like to, share the messages of God in different ways as well. But I'm just really committed to sharing the gospel and helping believers to believe. I have a family. I'm a father. I'm a husband. And I'm a regular person, but God has just blessed me to do some interesting things that are, changing lives for his glory.
Yeah. And like you said, you've had the opportunity to just create music. I listened to a lot of your music. I was telling you, I don't know if I got to tell you this. We had a youth event maybe a couple months back. And man, we were just jamming your music, bro. It was perfect. It was perfect because you seem to have such a range of, I guess, flavor, I guess, to put it that way, or different tones. And it's not just like one more typical rap per se or hip hop, but it's a whole different range of that. So, one of the questions I always like to ask folks that come on the show is a little bit of kind of your life journey to where you are now. Like looking back a couple years ago, and I'm not quite sure how long you've been doing this music thing, but did you ever see yourself in the position that you're in, or how has that journey been for you?
Okay, so for me, it's interesting. I did see myself where I am now before I got here. And that's kind of helped me along the way to stay so committed. So I would say before I was saved, God gave me this experience where he gave me, I would say a vision where I saw what he wanted me to do in the future. And that was be a Christian rapper. Now, of course, he wants me to do more than that. But that was something really particular and specific that he showed me in that moment. And in that moment, I was rejecting it, because I was living in sin and I thought that was strange to be a Christian rapper. All my examples of Christian rappers were corny. So, so I rejected it. But at the same time, I felt a little bit of guilt because, I felt like God was telling me something. And it's weird how I was lost, but at the same time, I had guilt about this. But I had a little bit of guilt. So I was like, I'll do this when I get older. Like after I go ahead and pursue the secular career and get famous or whatever, then I'll flip the script and make it about Jesus. But God had other plans. A few months after that, I was saved. And my grandfather, he actually encouraged me one day after church, and he said, you should use your gifts to glorify God. And ever since then, I've been running with it. So that was 8 years ago. I say 8 years. I keep forgetting the exact amount. It might be almost 8 years or it's a little bit over 8 years. I can't remember. But the anniversary of that is actually coming up because in March. But back to what I was saying. So ever since then, I've been running and doing Christian rap. And the glimpse that God gave me kept me running, kept me going so strong and so hard. It gave me a conviction to do it the best I could, to be professional to the best of my ability, to try my hardest to get the highest quality art I can make, because I just knew I was going to a different place. I knew I was going somewhere beyond where I was. And it's kind of crazy because I'm starting to see like the beginnings of that happening now, about 8 years later. You know, so many people are finding my music. So many people are following me, and it's just a lot has been happening in the past 6. I don't know how many months it's been now, but a lot has been happening, and it's just crazy to finally see something I've been having faith for so long come to pass. But I'll let you go ahead.
No, that's incredible. It's incredible that you share, like you said, that 8 years ago or so, you know, you've been starting this journey, and it really, I'm at least I'm getting the picture of just sowing, right? I mean, you've been sowing, you've been really working the ground, and as we know and as we believe, right, God's the one who makes it grow, and it's exciting to see that you're getting a lot of that harvest even lately. And I'm always curious because now I'm not a rapper myself. I like music, and I write some music, but I'm curious to know kind of your inspiration behind your songs, behind your music, because as I said, you have a lot of range of the type of songs that you write. So what's the inspiration behind it?
It's kind of crazy. I'm just now kind of discovering my range. Like, I didn't realize that it's so many different moods and tones and styles that I experiment with, that I'm just doing it naturally. But I just realized maybe a month ago, I was like, wow, I kind of do like change it up a lot. But my inspirations, I would say, I kind of was late to even enjoying music, I would say. It was probably like middle school when I finally like started paying attention to like, oh, there's different types of music. You know, I grew up in the church, so I was hearing gospel music. My mom always played gospel music, so I heard gospel music. But it was in middle school when I got introduced to rap. So I started listening to different rappers, discovering R&B music for the first time. And I would probably say that, you know, my touches of R&B, rap, and that's pretty much, and gospel are the main like types of music that influenced me today. Now, I like other genres, but I don't really listen to other genres. And honestly, right now, I don't even listen to that much music as it is. It's kind of weird, but I'm pretty much listening to my songs all the time. But but now I would say more so, instead of like other people's music as far as secular music inspiring me, it's more so at this point, I kind of know like the type of sound I like. I kind of, you know, like what I like to hear. Of course, I hear new things every now and then, but what inspires me most is the word of God. It's my relationship with God. It is experiences, you know, in life, seeing different things out in public, seeing things on social media that people are talking about or going through. So I would say it's more than likely, to sum it up, people inspire me the most, because I'm making this music to impact people. So yeah, people inspire me deeply.
That's incredible, because one of the things that you mentioned right now, I mean, your inspiration coming from obviously different genres of music, but more about like the message that you write, you know, coming from your relationship with Jesus. And something stood out when, at the beginning of our conversation, when you mentioned that God kind of gave you a vision, right? God kind of gave you a vision of what he wanted you to do. But one thing you noted was then a couple months later, you were saved. So it's like, okay, wait a second. You know, a lot of people expect that part of the story to be after, you know, you're saved and everything. And I'm curious to hear a little bit about your own faith journey, and how is that, how has that played out in the last, you know, 8 years, as now you're into music, and I'm curious to hear that.
Yeah. I'll say this as well. I think it's actually kind of weird that God showed me that before I was saved, but
yeah.
Hey, he knows what he's doing.
Let God do his let God do his thing.
Right. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. But so my faith journey. So when I first got saved, of course, when most people are saved at the beginning, they have a lot of zeal, a lot of energy towards God, and they run and they just go. And I did that. And you know, I I learned as much as I could. I started finding different pastors I could listen to. I listened to Charles Stanley a lot back in those days. I don't know if you know who Charles Stanley is, but
Yeah,
Charles
of course.
Stanley,
Yeah.
I love Charles Stanley. He keeps it simple, right to the point. It's just, it's on point. But Charles Stanley, there were other ones. Paul Washer, he brought in the gospel and
Yes.
driving it home, how essential the gospel is, and other things like that, living right, living pure, righteousness, stuff like that. And I would say, like, I had a strong desire for the word of God really built up in my life. Because I realized that if I seek him, I can actually find him. I remember one service at church, like the pastor spoke about, if you seek him, you'll find him. And I really took that seriously. So I got in the word. I started praying and I started to pursue God. And over time, my mind was just full of scripture. My heart was full of scripture. So it just poured out into the music. But there's definitely been hardships. There's definitely been slip ups. There's definitely been obstacles I had to overcome, different sins I got to learn how to defeat. There's definitely been all of that, that's not absent from any Christian's life at all, but God has been faithful. I can't say I've been the most faithful, but God has been perfectly faithful this whole time. And he is the reason that I'm still here. He's kept me going along this whole time. I can't say I ever wanted to quit, but there were definitely moments where I didn't know how I was going to keep going on, but God has really just held on to me this whole time. There were definitely moments where it was hard to keep doing Christian rap, with confidence, because I was seeing no results. Well, that's not even a true statement. I wasn't seeing the results that I knew I was aiming towards. I was definitely seeing results. There were people that was listening to my music, being encouraged, all of that.
But it didn't meet the expectation.
Exactly.
That you had at the moment.
Exactly. And there was, there's definitely some wrestling with being content, wrestling with insecurity, wrestling with comparison, because I believe through all of that, it would have been great if I was just perfectly grateful, for whatever I had and just patient. But I can't say I have been the whole time. But through it all, God has always shown some type of encouragement somewhere, in some shape or form, that has kept me going along, whether it's just a random letter from somebody who's listening to my music that was just the most encouraging words, or just, it's so many different things, like a random message on Instagram or something. Like, it's always a source of encouragement somewhere. But it's been some hard days. It's been some tough nights. It's been some tears shed. It's been some sweat. It's been a lot of everything. It's been struggle, but it's been a lot of beautiful moments. And I would say through all of that, God just molded me into who I am today. I'm not perfect, but I would say that I've grown a lot from 8 years of walking with God,
Right, man, and that's encouraging, really, just to hear your testimony, because every time I'm talking with someone on this show, my ears kind of think for people listening, right? What are they taking away? And a lot of times when you, especially a series called Success Stories, right? People are like, "Ooh, who's this guy, right? Who's this success guy?" And to hear also just the realness and your realness and in your process, and how people can relate. I can relate with your process. I loved things that you pinpointed with knowing how we're not always the most faithful, but God always remains faithful. And something that really stands out from your process, that all the hustling, all the grinding, and now, seeing harvest and then not seeing exactly what you wanted to see, the results, but you're like, okay, God, it's that balance, right? Of saying, okay, I'm content. Thank you, Jesus. But I kind of wanted more.
Exactly.
So it's like that balance. But maybe something to take away for everyone listening to your testimony is that no testimony is ever spared difficulty. No testimony is ever spared tough times. In fact, I ever heard that it would be impossible to climb a mountain if it was smooth. It would be impossible. We're all trying to climb the mountain and all that, but then when the obstacles come, we kind of complain. and it's encouraging to hear your perspective on it. You know, I also wanted to maybe ask, in that process and that difficulties in your, let's take more your creative and in your music, has there ever been a moment where you almost kind of threw in the towel, as they say, where it was just difficult to move forward and difficult to press through?
No, it's I can't say I've ever been that close to just, throwing in the towel. And I think it's because of the vision that God gave me and me just
I was going to
believing
ask
that.
Okay.
If I didn't have that, I don't know if I would have made it this long. I just really don't know, for me personally. Everybody doesn't have that type of experience, but I want to say that I needed that to keep me going and pushing as hard and to make so many of the small decisions that I've made to get me to where I am right now today. I think that was necessary for me to go through that.
That's interesting that you answer that question like that, because a lot of people, expect like, oh yeah, there was this moment where I almost gave up everything. But, and that doesn't mean that there's no struggles. I mean, we just talked about that, right? But something you said, it was key. It was the vision. It was what you're anchored to, right? And in the process, in your creative process and just creating, because you're an artist, but you're basically your own small business of who you are, promoting yourself and everything. Are there maybe some things that you can think about, some key factors in the success that you're starting to see and that you've learned along the way that maybe people can apply in their own lives?
Yeah. So it's very interesting that I have learned so many different things about social media that I felt like I was never applying for years. I'm the type of guy who is studying like the platforms I'm trying to succeed in. Like, there was a period of time where I'm trying to study YouTube, and I still need to tackle that one. That one's still on my list to do one day.
Yeah.
But I was trying to study YouTube. I've studied Instagram. I've studied TikTok, and just how to reach people, how to engage better with people, how to grow and advance on these platforms. And over time, I would say like there's little principles that I started to realize, like keeping people's attention, like different techniques and stuff like that. Making sure your content is valuable to the person that's consuming it. Like just little details I started to pick up over time that I think all came together and helped me to craft, content now that reaches so many people. And I would say ultimately it's like a willingness and a desire to learn and to do what you do well. Because if you're going to be great at anything, of course you got to be great at what you're doing, So if I'm gonna be a great artist, I need to learn how to be a great artist. And there's so many different levels and aspects to that, especially nowadays as most people are independent artists. There's so many layers. You got to learn business. You got to learn social media. You got to learn the art. You got to learn branding. There's so many different things. So I would just say, learn as much as you can about what you do, because those are like the most valuable assets. I would say like the day of trying to get on a record label is almost over. It's still there, but it's so much power in being an independent artist or an independent person who doesn't necessarily need someone to do, everything for them. So yeah, learn skills that you can do, learn what you can do and learn what you can't do, and then find people that can do what you can't do. So for me, I can do a lot of things, thank God, but I can't wait to the day where I can like give off some of the responsibility.
Start delegating.
Pressure off of me. Yeah.
Bro, I'm in the same boat, man. I'm here like editing the podcast and I got to figure out how to make a clip. And then I post a clip and I'm like, what do I describe it? What's my description? And what's the hashtag? And now, man, I want to get to the point where I'm just like, here's a video, edit it, make the clip, post it, keep me informed.
That'd be so easy. All you have to do is just make the content and
one day, Lord willing, bro. Lord willing, we'll be someday in the future we'll be talking about it. And we're like, man, remember that podcast interview we did? We're there.
Yeah.
One day that would happen. You know, something that stuck out to what you were saying is the willingness to learn. And do you think there's a balance? This kind of came to mind. Do you think there's a balance with being you and unique to your creativeness and everything, and at the same time learning how the trade works? And I don't know if I'm explaining myself, but I feel like there's a wave of people just saying, "Hey, as long as you're you, it's gonna work out." You know, just be you. Just be you.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a balance of like, yeah, be you, but you also kind of have to learn a little bit?
Yeah, there's definitely a balance. And yeah, so being you is definitely key. Like only you can be you. And I think it's so important that you be you. And that's why my name is the One Keon, because I am the one me. So just that little nugget right there. But yeah, so it's very important to be you. You don't want to copy, someone else's whole identity, basically. But at the same time, you do have to learn how the systems that we're trying to operate through work. We have to learn how social media works. We have to learn how YouTube works. We have to learn how, to make a song that sounds good. Now, I think there is room for the people that are rebellious to kind of the standards of how things go, but those are like 1 in a million type people. Like that's not typical where somebody can just come through and break all the rules and succeed. That's extremely difficult because you're going against all of the like set standards and grain to do that.
No, I completely agree. And I think those are some great key factors for people listening. And even if you say, well, I'm not really into music, but whatever your personal, your creative endeavor is, then I think there's something to take away from that. Especially there was one other thing that you had mentioned with these key factors is, hey, have your willingness to learn in what you do and then do it. Right. And then actually apply it. And one thing I want to mention, guys, is Keon is not just a random person just telling you, hey, here are my key factors I've never done myself, but I've heard they're good. I mean, this is someone who's walking the talk. I remember the very first time I got acquainted with your work was through TikTok. Like it worked. Congrats. This is why we're having this. Right. It was through TikTok, and it was one of I believe it was your remixes on Maverick City Music's song. I think it was Gyra, and then another one that went viral. I don't even know how many views it has now, but it had like hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok.
I think that one has 1 million now. It's crazy.
1 million. Did y'all hear that? The 1 million?
Right. When I saw that, I was like, what in the world? 1 million? That's like,
what's the
it was a time where 100,000 was out of reach for me. Now 1 million, I was, God did that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Obviously, God breathes his blessing on it, right? But to your point is that you're learning the system.
Yeah.
So to people listening, it's not, because there are so many, I mean, even on Instagram, there's so many accounts to help you be a better content creator, and there's so many tips and so many of that, but at least from you're living it, and you're seeing the results of it. And really, as we continue kind of through this conversation, I want to get your take of, and this might be a little off script, but what do you think is a message from all the rapping that you've done, from all the different songs and the different messages that you've written and from your heart? What do you think is a message that our generation kind of needs to hear right now?
I mean, I want to say it's the same message that it's going to be the age-old message is you need to trust in God and to, I would say, seek the Lord and discover, that he is real. Oh, taste and see, that the Lord is good. Because there's a lot of distractions going on. There's a lot of spiritual things that are out there. Like this, I hear different things like all the time about different spiritual practices people are doing. And so there's a lot to choose from, but I would say that seek the Lord. He is true. Jesus is real. And put your faith in him because he will change your life. Like trying to chase up the good vibes or all of these other different things, like that's not going to do anything to you, but waste your time, probably put you further into depression and, have you messed up. But trusting in the Lord is the best thing that you could ever do. ever,
Mm-hmm.
ever. And I mean that with all of my heart. All of my heart.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. No, thank you for sharing that, because one thing that's special about it is that that's your heart, that's your message, and you're someone who's out here in the culture making a difference, right? So a lot of times you hear a message like that, seek the Lord and give him your all, from maybe a monk in the monastery, up in the mountains, just secluded. But it's like, no, your faith is real here in your everyday life.
Yeah.
Here as you create music, or here as you're a teacher, here as you're just in school still, or you're trying to create your own YouTube channel, and everything is don't es que soy mexicano. Hablo español y a veces mis palabras, all my words get mixed up.
Yeah.
Make different compartments. That's the word.
Yeah.
Make different compartments of our faith. And what do you think? It maybe has to do a little bit with that as we start to kind of land this time together. What can, practically speaking, what can young adults do now in their everyday life that can set them up for success?
Success in what sense?
As you define it, I'd love to see kind of how would you define success?
Okay. Well, I believe that success, in the best definition of it ever, is to live out the purpose that God has for your life. Some people look at success as, getting money or things like that. But I think true success, and where you really find like fulfillment in who you are, is when you live out the purpose that God has given you. Now, if you don't know your purpose, it's discoverable. I don't have a 10-step program to show you how to discover your purpose. I don't have a book for that either. But I would say the best way you can discover your purpose is to spend time with God. And for those who do know their purpose, the way to fulfill your purpose has to be with the foundation of spending time with God. So I think it's important that you learn how to give time to God, whether it's just 10 minutes reading some scriptures daily. It'll start with 10 minutes, but over time it'll grow and advance. Whether it's 5 minutes praying before you go to bed, or you're really just speaking to the Lord. Finding different sermons that you can listen to, where maybe it's difficult for you to read the Bible, but you need someone to teach it to you. Well, we have so many resources. This is 2022. We have so many apps. We have so many preachers. There's people on YouTube. There's so many resources. There are Bibles everywhere. You can go in the dollar store and get a Bible. We have no excuse in our digital age, in America, really, with all of the things that we have. I don't know if you're in America or not. But
I am. But whoever's listening around the world,
wherever you are, if you're watching this, then you have access to your internet. And the internet gives you access to so many different resources to build you up as a believer. Whether it's listening to music is a great source. If you're finding, music that's full of the truth. So if you want to be successful, meaning living out the purpose that God has given you and completing your purpose, then you have to find out how to connect with God in a real way, and the world is yours from there. You can do it all.
Everything just flows out of there. And I can see and hear from your testimony that that's kind of been your story, right? It's been flowing, that your creative gift has been flowing from your relationship with God. And I think for everyone listening right now, regardless of, let's say, your level of faith, if you say, oh yeah, I do have a relationship with God, or man, I don't know if I have a relationship with God, but hey man, I believe in good vibes and bad vibes, and I believe in all that. It's something, as Keon said, that hey, the best way to know your purpose, if you feel purposeless, if you feel like a void inside of you that you don't know what you're supposed to do here, then the best way is to get to know the one who made you. And Keon, I'm super grateful for your time today, for you just to share us a little bit about your craft, about who you are, because that is the creative endeavor is really who you are, right? It's your craft comes out from your persona. So thank you for that. And share with us a little bit of how we can support your work, how we can follow you and everything that you're doing.
Okay. So, you can find me on social media at Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I use Facebook, but I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook. I really more so hate than love. I don't really use it that much, but I need to because there are people on there that follow me, but whatever. But yeah, and my name is the same on everything. It's the One Keon, THE. Oh, it's on the screen. THEONEKEON, the One Keon. Yeah, so if you search that, you can find me even on Spotify, even on Apple Music. I try to keep it uniform with everything. It's just the One Keon.
Yeah.
Boom, you can find it.
Branding, hashtag branding.
You would say?
How's that hashtag branding?
Oh yeah,
just keep it all the same.
Exactly. But yeah. So check out my music. I have plenty of music for you to check out. This year, my goal is to drop one single each month, on top of the remixes that I'm going to do here and there and all the other stuff. But one single each month. So I'll drop my first single today.
Let's go.
So make sure you check that out. I'm excited about this one. It's called Lead Me. I love this song. The music video is out as well. So yeah, check out the music. It's there for y'all to listen to and enjoy. And I hope that's what happens.
Man, well, there you go, guys. The One Keon. Again, thanks so much for your time. And folks, that's another episode of the Success Stories. So make sure to follow the One Keon, follow everything he's doing, listen to his music, especially his new single that just came out. And we'll see you in the next episode of the Andrew Amon Show. We'll see you there.